Okay, so UFC Vegas 93 has just finished, and I'm going to talk through all the fights, all my predictions, all my bets, tell you how successful we were, because I was very successful this weekend. On paper, this was a really bad card, but we had some good fights. Starting out with the women, we had the Swedish Knutsson versus Palastri. Now, Knutsson was a heavy favourite going into this fight, so I did predict her to win, and she won round one with her striking. She just teep kicked and front kicked galore all day, was landing them. But Palastri was really tough and stayed in it. And the next round, round two, was really close. Both had some success, and I probably lent towards Palastri just because of the little bit of ground control. And there was I think there was an eye poke. Anyway, third round, it was Knutsson. It was basically round one again. But this fight turned out to be very competitive, and the odds shouldn't have been so much in the favour of Knutsson in retrospect because it was competitive. But I had Knutsson to win, so that is 1-for-1. And I also placed a bet on her to win, which cashed out. So yeah, success, 1-for-1 on the predictions, 1-for-1 on the bets. Okay, so next fight was Costa versus Shia. And I predicted Costa, and I was scared at first because the first round, Shia dominated the ground game, and he had a really close knee bar. He was so close to getting Costa out of there, but Costa's tough. And then second round, I gave it to Costa because it was another close grappling exchange, but Costa got the better of him a bit. He landed more shots. This is a really, really smudge matchup. They both were just grappling each other. But then in round three, Costa ended up getting the submission. So I was scared at first, but Costa pulled through, got the submission win. I predicted him to win. So that means that 2 fights, we're 2-for-2 on the correct predictions. Okay, so the next fight was Indonesia's Jaka Saragi versus Weston Wilson, the little wonder boy. And I used the small winnings from the first fight from Knutsson, and I used house money to bet on Saragi to win in over 1.5 rounds. And if any of you watched the fight, then you know that didn't cash at all. Jaka started really quickly, but he paid for it by getting taken down by Weston Wilson, and Weston Wilson submitted him really fast. That was a clear matchup. Striker versus better grappler, even though Weston Wilson can strike as well. So I was wrong on this one because I obviously predicted Saragi would win, but Weston Wilson won. Unfortunate, but it was a good, exciting fight while it lasted. So that means I'm 2-for-3 on the predictions. Not great. Okay, so the next matchup was Judis versus Fernandez, another female fight. And on paper, I thought this was going to be a really bad matchup, but I was wrong. Turned out to be really, really exciting. Both of them had decent chins. They had good, clean striking. A really exciting first round. Fernandez was more powerful, but Judis was a bit faster. I gave the first round to Fernandez, and they kept the same pace sort of in round two, maybe slightly slowing down towards the end. But yeah, Fernandez started to fatigue a little bit, and that's why she started grappling. But I think that was a smart idea because I think she won round two with her grappling. So going into the third round, I had Fernandez 2-up, but third round was just striking, and Fernandez was really fatigued at this point, so Judis was just taken over on this round, and it was just a striking matchup, and Judis won round 3 to me, so that was 2-1 Fernandez, and the judges agreed with me, and I predicted Fernandez to win, so that means I'm 3-for-4 on predictions. Okay, so the next fight was another big underdog versus big favourite. It was Flick versus Maness. Maness was much bigger, 5'10" to I believe 5'6" or 5'7", and I predicted him to win very comfortably, but it was closer than expected. The first round was really exciting. Maness won it with his damage, like he hurt Flick a lot, but Flick had a really promising submission attempt, and that was first round to Maness. And in round 2, Maness dominated, but nearly gave up a stupid guillotine. If you watch the fight, it was super close. And round 3 was the same story. Maness won on the feet. He ended up on the top of the end trying to ground upon him and submit him, but he didn't finish him. I predicted him to win, so that means we're 4-5 on predictions. Okay, so this next fight's very interesting. This one was welterweight. This was Quinlan versus Fugit. Now, this one's interesting because I predicted one to win, but then I placed a bet on the other one, and you'll see what. I'll tell you why now. I thought because these are two strikers, they'd try grapple each other, and I thought Fugit would have the better grappling. So I thought he would dominate on the ground and see out a decision win, but Quinlan would land more significant strikes when it was on the feet. So I predicted Fugit to win, and then I placed a bet, which was Quinlan to land more significant strikes, and it was close, but that one didn't end up paying out. It was an awkward kickboxing match. Both started off really stiff, and it looked super awkward. But I had Quinlan in the first round, but the next two rounds, Fugit just really took his own. He got comfortable in there, and he won round 2 and 3. So my prediction with Fugit was correct. So I'm 5 for 6 on predictions, but that significant strikes bet on Quinlan didn't pay out, but it's fine. Okay, the next fight was the flyweight Alimbayev versus Jose Johnson, and this was the 5'4" grappler versus the 6' striker, and this fight went exactly how I expected, or nearly. I expected Alimbayev to control Johnson on the mat for 15 minutes, literally 15 minutes. But Johnson had good chances. He reversed some stuff. He had a little small chances at submission attempts, but they never materialised. And Alimbayev dominated. He won 30-27, and I predicted that. So that means we're 6 for 7 on predictions, which is good. Okay, this next fight was a fun one. This one was High Stand versus Armfield. First round, it was crazy. Loads of submission attempts from both men, and they both had good defense, got out. But I think the most active fighter in that one was High Stand, although it was really close. So I gave him that first round. But then round 2 was completely different. Armfield took over. He drops him twice within the space of maybe 10 seconds, but he couldn't get him out of there. Credit to the referee for letting the fight go. And he took the round. So I had it going into round 3. 1 round to High Stand, 1 round to Armfield. And it's all going down to round 3. And because of the way round 2 went, I thought my prediction on Armfield was secure. I thought he was going to see this out easily, but that is not what happened. High Stand comes out in round 3, gets a really early submission, and proves me wrong, and sends my predictions to 6-8 rather than 7-8. Okay, and the next fight was the featherweights, Kwamba versus Almeida, and this fight was so good, so exciting. Almeida was known to be the better striker, but I didn't expect him to be that strong and that big, and he scored 2 knockdowns. Almeida was just huge, and he was too strong. Almeida dominated Kwamba for 2 rounds, but Kwamba was so tough. He stayed in there, he recovered, and he was grabbing single legs to survive, and he went back out there in round 3, and he won that round to me. So I ended up having it 29-27 because Almeida had a 10-8 round, I think, in round 1. And I also placed a bet on this one. So I betted this fight would go the distance, and it did. So that paid out. And I also predicted Almeida to win. So that means we're 7-9 on predictions, and we got a successful bet on this one. Okay, the next fight, the co-main event, Andrade versus Johns. I'll keep this one very short. Super exciting kickboxing match. Both of them hurt each other at different points. I think Johns took round 1 and 2, and Andrade took round 3 because he really hurt him badly at the end, making it 29-28 Johns, and the referees agreed with me on my decision. So Johns won. Okay, it's time to talk about the main event, PEREZ versus TAIRA. Very short-lived fight. I thought this would be at least 3 or 4 rounds, but, it ended when it did. First round, it was good striking. TAIRA didn't really keep his hands up too much. He was getting clipped. The commentary were really glazing TAIRA. They weren't mentioning the fact he was getting hit so many times, but he was tough. So I give the first round to PEREZ. He landed more cleaner strikes, or not cleaner, he landed more strikes and scored a takedown. But that didn't matter because in round 2, TAIRA scored a nasty takedown and then finished the fight by swinging PEREZ down and blowing out his knee. I predicted TAIRA to win, so that means by the end of the night, I was 8 for 10 on my official predictions. And I also put a parlay on with Knutson and TAIRA to win which was a 4-1, so that paid out really good. Got 4 times my money there. And for performances, fight of the night, I thought was Judas versus Fernandez, those 2 women. That was a super exciting fight. It could have been Andrade versus Johns, but I'm going to give it to the women just because they were landing bombs on each other. And performance of the night, I think, was Almeida, because he knocked down Kwamba 3 or 4 times, super dominant until the last round. I'm going to give him performance of the night. If you're still watching this and still listening to this, thank you. Please subscribe, please like, because I love watching UFC. I love predicting UFC because I'm pretty decent at it. And yeah, subscribe, like, peace.